Yo, what the fuck is up, America? America. Yeah. Welcome to the best podcast in the entire planet ever. Bet you didn't even know that, did you? Well, honored. Maybe the best podcast on planet. Full of bullshit and sucks camel dick. Yo, yes sir. Rogan and RuneScape. Come on, let's get a little bit. Rogan and RuneScape. Rogan, okay, everyone. Rogan and RuneScape. Yes sir. Get them right here. Them cans of, cans of, what is it, bullshit? No, whoop ass, yes. No mistakes, cans of whoop ass. No cans of bullshit in my cooler, buddy. Alright guys, what's up? Welcome. It's episode 1369 with Christopher Ryan. And yeah, just cold cut right there on the music. Cold cut. But how we doing? Whoa! How we doing? Thank you. Alright. Cheer. So, yeah, Christopher Ryan. This is a recurring guest or whatever. I was going to say a recurring nightmare. Hold on, so let's take a sip first before we even crack any jokes in any more cans. Now place your right hand over your left heart and repeat after me. I pledge of America to the allegiance of the United States. I'm just kidding. All right, so let's get started. So yeah, Christopher Ryan. He's been on Joe's podcast multiple times before. Been on Joe's podcast multiple times before, and he's the author of the book Sex at Dawn. I haven't personally read it, but I think it's basically about human psychology and sexuality. And the theme of this podcast, for the most part, seemed to be about like, I don't know, I guess just the mind, you could say, like people, the way they think. I wrote down hypnosis, but really only the first kind of half of the podcast talks about hypnosis, or the first quarter, I should say. This one, I don't think I'll be as rushed for as far as in this podcast, because I don't think this will take as long as the other one. The Bridget episode was really great. I had a lot of notes written down. Edward Snowden was really great. This was a really good one too, but Christopher Ryan, see, he's one of those guys. He's kind of like has a Tom Papa personality. He's one of those guests that Rogan always has on, and he kind of actually sounds like Tom Papa. And except for he doesn't make bread. He's not a bread maker. Hold on a second. Yeah, he's not a bread maker. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? We're not even doing the old crowd laughter anymore. What's up with that? But so yeah, see, that's a staple part of the show. I mean, I understand that it might be cheesy, but fuck it, man. Fuck it. Jesus. All right, I gotta stop getting distracted because this is bad. We're only on the second one. I'm already like losing my shit here. It's another late night podcast, but anyways, so yeah, 9:44. Joe was talking about how Christopher Ryan is traveling the world in a van, and Christopher Ryan called it vanthropology. And hold on, what the fuck does that even say? I don't know, but you know what? Fuck it. Oh yeah, so yeah, vanthropology. Yeah, vanthropology. I couldn't even read my own handwriting. But yeah, so the podcast starts out is Joe being like, what's up, you distinguished looking motherfucker, talking to Christopher Ryan. And like, that makes me wonder, like, is he saying distinguished because he really is, or is he like saying distinguished because he's got like gray hair and he looks, you know how people say that people with gray hair like look distinguished? But or that's what Joe has said, I think. But so yeah, it would be kind of cool to actually travel the world in a van. Or see, I was wondering what he meant by that though. World, like, I think you could only get to Canada and South America, right? Like, couldn't drive to Europe or Asia in a van. It's not the world. It would be like the Americas, I guess. You could travel the Americas in a van, unless you bought a van in Europe, or wherever you were at. At 11:03, Joe was talking about his friend who gets arrested for sleeping in the back seat of a car. I mean, this was crazy. So they were talking about how if you're drunk and you're sleeping in the back seat of your car, you can get arrested, which is crazy because a friend of a friend this has happened where they fell asleep in their car, and I think the keys have to be somewhere without reach, so you would have to put it in the trunk. But I don't even know how that works. I'm not even sure what the law would be on that. And also, I mean, what if it's wintertime and you don't want to drive home? You can't sleep in your car without the fucking heat. You're gonna freeze to death. So it's just, I don't know. There should be kind of common sense laws where it's if the person says they're going to stay there, you should see if they're still there by a certain time. Cops could be like, all right, well, we're going to come back at 5 a.m. or whatever. Just check on you, make sure you're, drive by, see if you're, still here and haven't left. And, that way you can sleep where you are, sleep off. You're drunk, not getting, all this debt and getting all this trouble. But I guess maybe that's how things were back in the day. But yeah, that's just outrageous. And they were talking about the cops' quota, which that's crazy too. That's another outrageous thing. It's you have a certain number of arrests you have to do. That doesn't even make sense because they're supposed to uphold they're supposed to prevent crime, not find crime or find things to arrest people for, the whole quota thing. But yeah, and Joe was or Chris was what if no one committed a crime? And yeah, that's so true. If no one committed a crime, what job would they have? Because, and also I was thinking about this driving on the highway. If speeding wasn't a crime, if you didn't get a ticket for speeding, then, or if cops didn't sit on the highways, in those little intersections, those little roads, in between the other side of the highway, and they didn't sit there and monitor your speed, then would there be what would they be spending their time doing? Is there? Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is there more violent crimes that they're addressing than speeding tickets, or are there more speeding tickets that they're spending their time on than, say, violent crimes and stuff like that? Chris says that, he's how will they fill the prisons that they operate, based on occupancy, which is so fucked up and true. Private prisons, just the whole idea of private prisons is ridiculous. That's basically showing right there that it's a money-making ideology and kind of scheme, I guess you'd say, and conspiracy would be the proper word as well, to people working together to for example, the prison guard unions Joe has talked about, where prison guards have voted against cannabis decriminalization, because it's the prison guard union. They want their jobs. So that's it's crazy. So, and I think what Chris meant by that is so how would they fill their prisons? So for example, maybe some guy who is speeding was going 65 miles an hour in a 55 or 65 and a 45, maybe a little bit excited, leaving a music festival. And let's say he had, let's say he had 10 hits of acid or something like that on him. And he got pulled over for speeding, and he has acid, or let's say mushrooms, or even weed. Say he has something like that. The fact that he is put in a cage with people who are violent, criminals, and has to share an 8x11 cell with 2 other guys when there's no way for you to ring an emergency bell in some places. There's no thing where you can be hey, I'm being raped. If you're in the jail cell with 2 other guys and it's lockdown, and they shut the door, there's nothing that you could do until it's too late, because people are carrying on, cutting up, like cracking jokes and singing songs and stuff like that all night anyways, and yelling and shit, and you're separated far enough away from even the walls or the window to where something was happening where you're getting your ass beaten in either by a cock or your ass beaten by fists. Nothing's gonna a brownout, as I was told. Jesus Christ. Not a blackout, but a brownout. But, yeah, so how does that happen? How does someone who's maybe like a 19-year-old, you know, even a 32-year-old, even a 30-year-old still, like, leaving a music festival, you know, it's just, there should be different places. Like, you shouldn't put non-violent offenders in the same place as violent offenders, and even when you put violent offenders together, it should be not in the way that it is, because essentially the way that it is kind of like dogfighting. It's like cock is just like putting people in a fucked up situation where it's kind of like the wild, wild west, and anything can happen, including rape or death, and just be like, hey, go for it, see what happens. So, yeah, it's kind of appalling, and that's one thing that 100% we should be focusing our attention on as a nation. And I think Joe talks about this a lot, is reformation. I don't even know if that's the correct way to pronounce it, but reformation of the prison industry, like, and not make it an industry anymore, make it like an actual like thing that actually helps people like get, you know, gets back on their toes. I kind of forgot what I was talking about. That might happen from here and again. So with that said, drink break. I know there's people right now being like, this motherfucker, every 5 minutes he stops and fucking chugs the goddamn beer in the microphone. Well, guess what, guys? It's not a beer. It's a can of whoop ass. It could be a beer, but to me it's a can of whoop ass, because Stone Cold says so. With that said, can I get a hell yeah? Fuck yeah. Woo! So, God, I wish I had fucking better handwriting, man. Like, when I take long breaks, and I'm like, it's because I'm trying to fucking figure out what the hell I wrote down, like, just an hour ago. Just 30 minutes ago or whatever. Which, by the way, these things take a longer, like, handwriting. I think I'm going to try switching to typing them. Handwriting these notes take a long-ass fucking time. Because I stop at everything. Because everything's interesting on the Rogan podcast. Jeez. Give me some tips, please. Like, you know, we've had some really good numbers, like, recently as far as daily downloads. So if you're listening, send me an email at roganandrunescape@gmail.com, or follow the Instagram account, Rogan and RuneScape. I don't really use Twitter so much, I probably won't be on there, but yeah, email or Instagram, and like, just leave me a message, like, say hi. Because I'm trying to learn with this. I'm trying to balance, like, information and kind of entertainment and my opinion, and then like opinion and truth, and if that makes sense. Also, all at the same time, while trying to fucking read my handwriting and get it down into a certain amount of time. So, speaking of, what are we at right now? See, we're doing good. We're doing good. We got plenty of time for this one. Plenty of time, guys. I say that, but I haven't even turned the page yet on the notes. I'm sure there's like at least 7 more pages. Still on the first page. We got plenty of time, guys. Not really. You're still on the first page. But so yeah. So Joe, at 11:58, finally deciphered what I was saying. He was what would it take, like, for people to stop committing crimes? Because they're talking about, like, how the prisons operate based on occupancy. So like I was saying about the guy who was speeding, and the hypothetical guy who was speeding, you know, leaving a music festival. has, an ounce of mushrooms on him and goes to jail for 3 years, for 2 years.